Ashes of Creation is not going to be for everyone. There are a lot of things going on in Ashes that seriously differ from what the industry's most popular MMOs choose to do. For this video, I have chosen four areas that will significantly impact a player's normal gameplay loop. And I choose 5 MMOs that are considered the most popular to compare with Ashes. These 5 are WoW, Old School RuneScape, Final Fantasy, ESO, and Guild Wars 2. A disclaimer, of these 5, I only played WoW. So I kind of had to research the other 4, so I may not get all the details totally right, but feel free to correct me in the comments. So let's start with Localized Storage. In Ashes, for the most part, if you store gatherables and materials at a node, you will not be able to access those items from another node. This is not the case with completed items. They're accessible from anywhere. But this isn't a common thing in most MMOs. In fact, all of the 5 MMOs I mentioned have universally accessible private storage. Similarly, not all nodes will have an auction house. The auction houses are not universally accessible. So if you want to sell your stuff in an auction house on another node, you have to move those materials to the node you want to sell it at. The next topic is open world raids. 80% of Ashes will be open world. 20% will be instance. Most raids will be open to the server. And I'm not talking about world bosses. I'm talking about the endgame raiding content not being instanced. This means that you can raid. This means that your raid can be working your way through the raid, and another raid group shows up attempting to down the boss for the loot. And now you have to choose whether you're taking out this group or attempting to burn down the raid boss faster than them to get the loot privilege. Alternatively, you could negotiate and both peacefully coexist in the raid, agreeing not to infringe on each other's space. But this is just not a thing in MMOs anymore. I can't think of a single game that does their raids like this. And being that it's so core to the endgame gameplay loop many players are not going to enjoy this. Ashes of Creation is going to be a PvX game. The open world PvP is not opt-in. In most areas of the world, if another player finds you, they can attack you at will. And you can attack them at will. And on top of that, you drop some of your gatherables and resources for them to loot. There's going to be an anti-griefing system in place to prevent griefing, but the design of the game is to encourage world PvP. Now, WoW, specifically Classic WoW, and Old School RuneScape have PvP servers where you can have interactions like that. But if you don't want to participate in the world PvP, you can just play on a PvE server. So the world PvP is technically opt-in. The others that I think, Final Fantasy, Guild Wars 2, and ESO do not have world PvP like Ashes. Some of them have like specific areas that you can, where PvP is on, but the majority of the world is not PvP. And we all know that there are PvEers and PvPers. And Ashes doesn't care if you want to be just a PvEer. You will have to deal with other players in the open world. This one is very different, I think. Major cities and games were there from the beginning and will remain indefinitely. For example, Ironforge. If you love Ironforge, you invest a lot of time into it. You're a citizen of it. You have many things stored there. It would remain safe, your home sweet home. In Ashes, you may fall in love with a city. You're a citizen, you have many things stored there, you invest many resources in the building up of the node, made countless friends in the node, countless hours spent questing and leveling up your node's reputation, building up your guild here. But a siege breaks out and your node is destroyed. Your node is now level 0. It's wilderness, it's rubble. A majority of your things were looted by the attackers. Your house, your freehold or apartment is gone. Max level crafting stations you were using, gone. Your favorite tavern, burnt to the ground. You are now homeless. What do? You stick around, attempt to relevel the node, or find a refuge at a new node. Or maybe immediately plot your revenge. None of the popular MMOs I mentioned do this. The main cities are the main cities, and they will always be there. There's a bunch of other little things that Ashes plans on doing that are very different to modern day MMOs, and they're significant enough for me to want to mention them. Like dying is going to result in you dropping some loot, specifically gatherables and resources. There's not going to be a group finder in the game. You're going to have to find like-minded people if you're going to attempt group content. Fast travel is super limited, thank God. That means you're going to have to travel by foot to get around the world. And the current estimates on the wiki say that moving from one corner of a continent to the other takes about an hour. And there's 2 separate continents. All this being said, I think it's a good thing to have the game not cater to the general population. So many games try to appeal to a broader audience, and they all end up feeling the same. I like that Ashes is taking a chance on being different, trying to offer a different experience than most MMOs. I have never done a dungeon where another party can just walk in and attempt to do the same dungeon I'm in. What's that going to look like? I don't know what it's going to be like having to move resources from node to node for accessibility. I'm excited. I'm really excited about seeing how this all works and how the players interact with these unconventional systems. I expect that even though on paper the game doesn't seem PvE friendly, with a little extra work and some open-mindedness, there's going to be plenty for PvEers. Same thing with solo players. Even though the game doesn't seem solo friendly, I think if you get just a little extra work and some open-mindedness, you're going to find plenty of stuff for a solo player to do. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong. Like and subscribe to see me be wrong about more things. Have a good one.
Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you, subscribe.